And so they say, on Earth, this archangel was busy doing the job of tenant when all of a sudden these souls began entering the system. Here the souls are, boom, into the system. These souls were absolutely awestruck by the beauty and complexity of this jewel hung in space. The souls buzzed around this planet, feeding their awareness with great excitement. That was fine with the archangel, for it was an exceptional planet, and while there's no pride as we know it in one as mighty as an archangel, still pride might in a way describe the condition. The problem soon became apparent and could have been expected. These souls began using their power to change those things on earth in a manner that was more pleasing to them. And as might be expected, the archangel was busy trying to correct the damage. These invaders were messing with its charge and changing things in an unacceptable manner. What was worse, these souls were falling under the law of cause and effect as they tampered with what was going on here on earth. They were becoming trapped here, and the archangel didn't want them here at all. And then kind of a side note, they say, you understand that these souls had free will and were the most powerful and wonderful thing in creation, save for Father. So these archangels are complaining, we have these souls invading my planet, and it's getting all messed up. Help, help. The complaint was not unheard. There was a meeting of those souls who would understand the problem, then called the Sons of Light, now called the White Brotherhood, this archangel, and a portion of the hierarchy that was involved. And the next chapter is the First Covenant. The exact outcome of that meeting would be hard to explain in terms that would be comprehended by the monkey man with his temporal understanding. We can, however, give the end result as it affected man, his soul, and the archangel. Most of us know something about astrology. We know that the sun travels through a complete set of signs in 1 year, and those born at a certain time of the year have certain sun signs. Well, there's also a system in astrology in which the sun travels in a reverse direction through the signs. In this system, the sun takes some 2,156 years to enter one sign and leave it. Knowing that there are 12 signs, we then know that it would take 25,868 years, give or take, they say, for those that need to know. Give or take, it's like 25,868 years, give or take, for those that need to know, to complete one full cycle. That 25,000 plus year cycle was used as a time frame for the duration of agreement or covenant between the Sons of Light and the Archangel of the Earth. There was to be education given to the soul to get them to move on to the other systems. This came in the form of counsel by what might be considered sages, oracles, wise men, shaman, the great stag, and many others. And then a side note, they say these in truth being manifestations of the archangel, the higher powers, some of the hierarchy, and those of the Sons of Light who would choose to enter here. In other words, those things that gave counsel, they were in truth the archangel, the higher powers, some of the hierarchy, and the Sons of Light who chose to incarnate or enter this earth plane. And they say there were even places where the very stones gave counsel. The oracle places where there were caves or caverns in the stones, it would seem that the stones themselves could give counsel. And so they go on. There was to be a policing to minimize the damage done to the balance on the earth. This policing would take the form of objects of power which absorbed the sendings of the souls and negated the effect. These objects could make the ambitious souls unable to fully use their power as long as these objects were held by the gods, in quotes. Now, remember, we're in level 4. And also remember, I guess, that Book 5 will certainly give you much more enlightenment in this area. But what they said here was there were certain objects that were created that absorbed that mental mind sending that the souls used to control the animals, actually control other souls, control material objects, if you want to call it magic. There were certain objects of power that absorbed that sending, and that allowed the souls to be unable to fully use their power as long as these objects were held by the gods. Does the mythology say anything about objects that the man was after all the time, or the gods held? If you don't think so, read. And so they go on and say, many souls entered the system and left after sampling that which was here. Many entered, sought the objects, found them, and went on with their games of power. As we said, the soul was a magnificent creation, very clever, resourceful, and persistent in its execution of any plan. It was a fine covenant, but it didn't work. By the end of the first cycle, there were cyclopses and mermaids, giants and dwarfs, unicorns and tree nymphs, and a myriad of other creatures wandering around the earth. There was even a form of man found to be very cunning and useful in its seeming innocence and weak form. The mythology of so many civilizations came from that cycle. Reread those mythologies from the view given here and see the gods enter into the affairs of the soul projections here on earth. See the attempts to police, to control those creative souls by the higher powers themselves. Wasn't Neptune the god of water, Vulcan the god of fire, and so on? Again, Book 5. See the souls in their many forms struggle to find the objects of control here on earth. Read it that way and it will make more sense. So here they said the same thing that I said. Read it from that form and it makes a lot more sense. What was going on? They were seeking these golden fleece, all these different objects. They travel all over the world to find these objects. And when they got them, what? They were rich or, no. These things absorbed the power and they wanted their power. More of that in Book 5, like I said. So they go on and say, as if the damage to the balance of the earth and creation of alien life forms wasn't enough, another piece was added to the problem of this covenant. The archangel was beginning to see another side of this entrance of the souls into its domain. These souls were creative, interesting, wondrous things. They had the same powers as Father to a lesser degree. They were awesome. Their play on earth was most entertaining and creative. And here they realized that there was a thought being formed. There was a plan forthcoming. It was formed as the archangel pit its powers and its strength against those of the soul in an attempt to control their power. The archangel was supposed to control their power. It did try to control their power, and there was something, a plan coming forth in this archangel. And it goes like this. The archangel had its helpers, and at times even found that it could force, trick, or even charm those soul creations into working for its cause. It liked the game. It liked the challenge. And most of all, it liked the worship of those soul creations. In other words, here we are, could you help me help these souls understand that they can't be here? Oh yeah, I'll give you help. I can understand it. Okay, do this, do that. Pretty soon the soul projection is helping the archangel and then almost worshiping, following the orders, and so it gets to the point where it's almost worship. So it says, could it find a way to gather more worshippers to this earth? Could it be that it had changed its view of these soul creations? Might it be better to keep these souls here after all? Now you see that, you want to talk about 90 degrees, 180 degrees, total turnaround. Get these souls off the earth, they're wrecking everything. Yeah, I'll help you with your covenant. We'll get them out of here, boy. Get them out of here. Get them moving on. We got to have balance on the earth. And all of a sudden it's, boy, this is fun. Playing with these soul creations. They're so clever. They're so charming. They're so tricky. They're so unique. Maybe if I can, get more of them on my side. Maybe if I get more of them on my side. Maybe if I can get more of them on earth, it finally ends up to be. So they say then, so let's get the first covenant straight. The sons of light and those in agreement made a covenant to teach and police these souls so they could gain their freedom from this system and the damage to the balance of the earth would be minimized. That was the focus. By the end of the cycle, it could be seen that the plan had been a failure due to the underestimation of the soul projection's abilities. The conditions were so bad in all areas that drastic action was called for. The dark sun and the planets of that system were used to clear the stage as the second covenant was being formed. And then as a side note, they say dark sun, 7 days of black fire. Those who know, know. Book 5.